Hi, this is Todd Glass, and you're listening to Atheist Edge with your host, Jim Hall. Now here's Jim. Oh, Jim. All right, that's it. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, listen, Jim, I don't come into frame right away. When you go to see Colbert or Kimmel, you think they're just standing on the stage the minute you walk into the studio? No, they get introduced. There's a big hoopla made. Ba 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 da 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 ba 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 ba. It's me. How you doing, Jim? Wow, look at you, Jim Hall. It's a good ring to it. Maybe I should have brought you in with this. After all. Let me tell you something about Jim Hall. By the way, how you doing? You're good? It's just some hot tea with 7 shots of Jack Daniels and a pinch of health water. No, that's called silly sauce. I drink it. A lot of people haven't heard of it, but go to the liquor store. You have to wink a lot at the person behind the register because they have to know. It's like you know the code. You go, hey, do you guys by any chance have any silly sauce? And I'll tell you what, Jim, they're going to bring you out some silly sauce. I like everything I read about you. I think you're a good guy. Excuse my language. You're a good champion of causes over there on, is it the Atheist Edge? You're doing some good stuff. You can make mistakes in life. So do I gotta roast you? No. Go roast yourself, you pile of shit. I'll do what I want. I'm gonna compliment you. You got civil rights on your side, the LGBT. Seems like, hey, look, can I tell you something? Defend everybody. Don't let anybody off the hook, meaning in a good way. Defend everybody, because you hurt one cause, you hurt every cause. If you're not on board with non-binary and understanding what it means, you're hurting women, you're hurting gay people, you're hurting black people, and you're hurting society. You're one, you're all. Whatever comes along, jump aboard and change. You hear me, Jim? And I think you do that. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you and I like you. Even though we never met. No one's all good or all bad. But you try to lean towards being mostly good and you make mistakes. You're doing a lot of good stuff. Well, I just want to say I like you. And I know we haven't met. And you go, well, is he being phony? No, I ain't. Don't you believe in energies? You do? Well, glory, glory.
Islam, books, the Satanic Verses, and the Jewel of Medina, the film The Passion of the Christ, and any depiction of Muhammad. Judaism, dozens of books including The Science of the Torah, My Uncle the Netziv, and The Kosher Jesus. Fundamentalist Christian, Biological Evolution, books including As I Lay Dying, The Canterbury Tales, Carrie, Frankenstein, and The Lord of the Rings. Why ban a book? Why would reading something arguably subversive to a particular religious dogma be a problem? If the religious dogma is true and pure, shouldn't the faithful be able to read something contrary and automatically decide if it's worth contemplating or not? Parents often censor what their children can read by keeping them in faith-based schools and colleges. What happens, of course, and the internet has been wonderful at this, is that often their children are finally able to get access to works that have been denied them. And when their critically thinking minds kick in and they start asking questions, there's no going back. That horse has bolted. And often great resentment builds up in the child's mind from the fact that they were deliberately denied the opportunity to think for themselves and make up their minds for themselves. Banning books is a sure sign that the banner is afraid of the power of someone else's reasoning. The banner wishes to nip it in the bud and not even allow the reader to reason for themselves. You will never, I repeat, never see a true scientist or critical thinker ban a book. It is anathema to the entire critical thinking process. The critical thinker knows that even if a subversive text seeks to undermine any truth that the critical thinker has espoused, even if the reader temporarily gives credence to the undermining information, over time, the undermining information will ultimately be rejected over time after repeated examples of refutation and proof. Even in the extremely rare cases when the critical thinker's truth has actually been undermined and disproven, the critical thinker should welcome the correction so that their worldview is now more realistic. The religiously dogmatic only change after much kicking and screaming and when they have lost huge numbers of followers.
God's to-do list. Wait an eternity. Then create a mind-bogglingly large universe with infinitesimally small areas that are hospitable to life. Ooh, create humans. Got that checklist there. Then wait 200,000 years, reveal yourself, and start telling them what to do. Just the illiterate chosen ones in the desert, not necessarily all of them. Don't forget to drown all of them for disobeying you. Come to Earth and then commit suicide by cop to regain their trust. Stay hidden for the rest of time. Now, to be fair, we haven't gotten to the rest of time, so maybe God is going to not continue hiding forever. But the trend right now is that every God that's been proposed is evidently an incredibly hidden God who interacts with reality in no real detectable way that anyone else can show. That's quite a to-do list. I wonder if any of it actually got to done.
Once upon a time, Elijah had a magic cloak that he used to part the waters of a river so he and his buddy Elisha could cross. Then Elijah said he was going to go ahead and go to heaven today. And Elisha was like, dude, you gonna kill yourself? You want me to kill you? Elijah's like, nah, I got a better way. And he showed him a chariot. And it was on fire. And even the horses hooked to it were on fire. And Elijah asked, dude, do you have any requests before I bounce? And Elisha told him, no, man, but can I get that cloak to do cool magic tricks and stuff when you're gone? So Elijah gave him the cloak, and he jumped on the chariot. And Elisha's like, man, that's savage. You're on fire, literally. And Elijah rode the chariot into the tornado, which sucked him up in a high sky, where he eventually disappeared from view. Then Elisha put on his friend's cloak and went over to the river. Sure enough, he could part waters too. It was badass at parties.
If our religion is the one true religion, and the majority of the population does not believe as we do, how can God say he doesn't want anyone to perish? But yet he is going to burn at least 70% of his children for eternity. Based on my knowledge of the Bible and my faith for all of my life until recently, we were called to perpetuate the gospel according to Jesus Christ, to bring people to Christ. He will leave the 99 to go and search for the one to bring back to the flock. For all those who have accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior, they will live eternity in heaven. Otherwise, you're going to burn in hell. Is this a failure of Christians that they did not fulfill his prophecy? That we were to bring as many people in the world to Jesus? He knew when he made us that we were coming into a fallen world. He knew what our life was going to be like and the troubles that we were going to face and the decisions that we were going to have to make. So then he just decided, well, I'm going to populate the earth, but I'm going to kill more than almost 70% of you because you didn't obey very well.
Christmas trees are forbidden to decorate or display in your home.
Okay, so let me jump in on this because I may be one of your very few formerly Christian listeners who never kept Christmas as a Christian. And so even as a Christian, I would have made the same argument you just made. The church I grew up in, the Worldwide Church of God, which you and I discussed before, we did not celebrate Christmas or Easter or Valentine's or Halloween, because we knew all of these holidays had pagan origins. Specifically in the case of Christmas, winter solstice celebrations went back centuries. And when the early Christian church was trying to make Christianity more palatable for a pagan audience, having moved on from trying to convert the Jews, that didn't work very well. So they, starting with Paul, he just went straight to the Gentiles, and he tells us this in the gospel, or in his epistles, that he didn't even spend any time in Jerusalem, wasn't interested in converting the Jews. He was in fact going to the Gentiles. And so we see, the churches that Paul started and Christianity project from there was trying to incorporate formerly pagan people. And so a winter solstice holiday masquerading as a Christian holiday would have been right up their alley. And so, the Christmas tree, the idea of, having a winter solstice holiday, all of that came from pagan origins. And so even as a Christian, we would have said that. So absolutely.
Standard atheist boilerplate about most Christian holidays. They started off as pagan holidays and were co-opted. There is nothing whatsoever Christian about a flying reindeer, right? There is at least something marginally Christian about Saint Nicholas, but the modern sort of understanding of Santa Claus is completely pagan in its understanding. And I'll say this too: it's a lot more fun to celebrate Christmas as an atheist, as a free thinker who really, we allow ourselves to hone in on the very humanist ideas, like helping others and in giving we receive. And as the humanist and atheist community, we have the right to kind of put our foot down and say, you know what? No, you don't get to take that from me. Peace on earth and goodwill towards men. That's exactly what a secular humanist would advocate for. And our advocacy doesn't bring the supernatural spiritual baggage and also doesn't bring the 3,000 years of vicious Old Testament bullshit.
Just the sheer commercialization of it, right? That is a recent thing, like within the last century or so, where, for purposes of retail, we decided that we wanted to make these Christmas traditions seem very old, when in fact they really weren't. This was manufactured by the retail industry. The other thing too is, if you look at the New Testament, there's no mention of Jesus's birth, no mention of the date of his birth, I should say. The two Gospels, Matthew and Luke, that narrate the birth don't tell us when it was. And certainly December 25th isn't given as a date. No date is given. But there are some clues that even if you are inclined to accept the birth narratives, which I was as a Christian, there are several clues that it could not have been December. The shepherds were tending their sheep. That's not something they would have been doing in the dead of winter, out in the field with their sheep.
The two birth narratives that we have are almost mutually exclusive. They both start in different places. They go opposite directions from each other. Jesus and his family do. You can layer onto that all of the myth and miracle that Christians think make Jesus's birth unique. People were telling stories about virgin births and miracle births and demigods, who were the son of an earthly mother, a human mother, and the son of a deity father. I don't know how many kids Zeus had. If you go look it up, I don't know, more than 30 in that pantheon.
Let's talk about L. Ron Hubbard, shall we? Science fiction writer turned religious and self-help guru. That's red flag number one. He failed his Naval Academy entrance exam. That does not surprise me, and why he had such an obsession with being in the Navy. Cue the Village people here. He married an uneducated co-conspirator in an international theft ring. Doesn't surprise me. He claimed he had been shot in the back and survived it, but his medical records showed only a wrist injury. That bullet was magic. Married Sarah Hollister while he was still married to Margaret Grubb. Sarah didn't find out until a year into the marriage, and at that time Hubbard finally divorced his first wife. How does one, as somebody that is married to one wife, how do you carry that on? I don't have the energy or even the brains to be able to pull that off. Why? Why? Why do you do that? Why? Why? And I want to know why there are no religions that allow for multiple husbands for women. Why is that? Because women are smarter than that. We don't want to have to clean up after more than one man. That's just it. We are smarter than that. When you have to flush the toilet after a male, you will learn that you don't want more than one of those in your house if you can help it. Sarah began to publicly worry about Hubbard's manic and increasingly paranoid episodes. Yeah, he imagined that life was a game. This could have been a precursor to The Matrix. Hubbard kidnapped their daughter Alexis. He called Sarah from an undisclosed location and claimed he had cut Alexis into little pieces and dropped the pieces in a river. He had left the arms and legs floating down the river. Now, I'm assuming that this didn't really happen, but I also wonder about what this tells about a lot of people in the hierarchy of Scientology. I mean, you look at the current head of Scientology, David Miscavige. If you've read his father, Ron Miscavige's book, you know that he's not exactly stable either. And his wife, Shelley Miscavige, has been missing for years, just gone. Nobody knows. Nobody knows where she's at. She's just gone. So there's something about these powerful men in Scientology that's just strange. Anyway, if you haven't read Ron Miscavige's book, read it. It's great. Anyway, thank you, and see you next time.
More importantly, I hope my hair looks good. Jim Hall. For Jim Hall, by Jim Hall. The name of your autobiography. That's what I heard. Oh, Jim. Here we go. Jim. Jim, 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 Jim. Jim, 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 Jim Hall. Ba da 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 da. Ba 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 da da. And take it home. Thank you. How are you? Let me tell you something. Oh, you say, roast me a little. I'll do what I want. I'll roast you, but not on what you want me to roast you on. Go. I read your details. I don't want to roast you. I'm going to say all nice things about you, and then you're going to be so embarrassed, you're going to shit all over yourself. Jim, my camera, you probably don't see it, but it keeps oh, there. No wonder. There we go. Ba, ba, ba. What was I talking about? Oh, the Atheist Edge.
Getting to these was difficult for me to sort of make time. But when I finally did them, it didn't take very long, and I really had fun doing it. So.
Or I'm not going to donate the money to an animal shelter. I'm going to go by an animal shelter, take a dog home, love him, kiss him, mush him, and bring him back. That's what I do if you're going to complain. I'm laughing at my own jokes. Wow. Listen, Sergeant. You know, I always thought if I was a sergeant in the military, I'd try to do fun things. You know, get right in their face and go, you know what you're gonna get? And I tickle them. I don't know, maybe it would be fun. Coochie coochie coo. I do it to the guys and the girls. I do it to everybody, so everybody felt equally loved. I go, I'm gonna get right in their face. Maybe I just do it to their nose. I go, coochie coochie coo. You know, maybe I shouldn't touch people. Maybe I just go, coochie 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 coo. But I don't touch them. You know, coochie 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 coo.
My job mostly is to be good looking. Rex is the thinker.
Well, Owen grew up keeping Christmas, so you know that was sort of
I did.
You're a retired Marine master. Like, what does that mean? Sergeant Jim Hall. Sergeant Jim Hall. Marine master. Why am I going to make fun of you? We need guys like you. You know, guys that are like on the right side of history. So what? You gained a little weight. You can lose it. And you lost your hair. Wear fun hats. What can I say? I can tell you something. Just because you lose your hair and you gain a little weight, you can still dress cool. Maybe you do. Do you? Do you ask for help? The older you get, you gotta ask somebody. You gotta go help me. I don't want to try to look like I'm looking 20, but I want to look like, you know, someone who's my age that has a little style. There you go. Stop with your pleated khaki pants. I've told you this before, Jim. But you're a champion of good causes. You're a champion of a lot of good causes. I know about you.